Ooh, ooh. What shall we do with our life? That is a very important question, and we can achieve several answers considering the age where we are standing right now. The problem is so many people, so many so-called specialists try to say, what shall we do? And we are of course vulnerable to that, because we have less and less time to think. So those called people have time, shall we say, to prey on our lack of time. Nietzsche, the German philosopher, used to say, how we become what we are. How can we be authentic, be true, if these things make any sense? We have so many myths about, for instance, being happy, being kind, being generous, and all that stuff. And perhaps we should consider a little analysis on that. What is really being happy? Does it have a kind of prestige, a kind of self-meaning? Perhaps we could face that definition with that word I said, meaning. Maybe it's more important to have a meaning than being happy. For instance, terrorists, they have a strong meaning. Of course, we can say and should say it's in a moral meaning, but they have a strong meaning. They are ready to die and live by it. So, no matter it's immoral, no matter it's illogical, they have a strong attachment to their purpose. And our society lacks that kind of close approach to life. That's of course, or could be a Nietzschean word and concept. We feel so detached, so suspicious, so paranoid about nowadays life. We suspect of our bosses, our employers, our politicians, and most of the time we just protest and carry on without strong and really useful ideas. In psychoanalysis, that is called the regression. We renounce to think and we just act like babies protesting, and we self-indulge our protest without real solutions. Of course, that leads to the democratic society's crisis nowadays. Why don't we trust democracy? Because democracy doesn't make us happy? Because democracy misplaces true with a number? Because democracy, it's also a large door to demagogy, to bias, to false truths or alternative truths in a social and linguistical construction. We should study history and try to see alternative purposes of happiness, of being alive. For instance, honor, the Japanese traditional society would relate to themselves in the value of honor, and life would be only worth living if we were ready to die for it. Of course, they lack French Revolution, the Pandora's box of all values and non-values of today's society. So they consider the collective and the honor as a collective value and not the selfish, egocentric values of our societies. The more we forget the others, the more we forget us. The more we forget us, the more we enslave others, thinking that power relation, may it mean political or economical power, will give us meaning. But not. Power is a weak bond to reality and pleasure, because who enslaves the other, the leash, has two hands. The one who controls the leash and the other one who is attached to the leash. Culture. Culture is a possibility of meaning. For instance, fiction. In fiction, we can be anything without really being. It's a kind of childish game. And I don't mean to underestimate the power of literature and imagination. For instance, consider Agatha Christie. I can be a murderer on my fantasies, in my dreams, and return to be an English lady at the time for tea. It's kind of winning situation. That's why I admire so much, and I envy writers, because they can go inside that pretending game and then to return. And that reminds us of what is reality. A dream, an onirical state, is also a reality when we are dreaming. So, to define reality, we need the context. The context says we are dreaming. So, our reality when we are dreaming, I mean the sleeping state, it's the dream. When we wake up, we have a so-called another reality. It's strange if you consider only one side of the question, an unidimensional side of the question. We spend more time sleeping than being awake. So perhaps if you consider that, our reality is made of dreams, or perhaps memory. And then, okay, I'll be back when I find my cigarettes.